So let's talk more about relationships. Who doesn't want to know more about that? I certainly do. That's why I love talking about it. So after 40 odd years of listening to people in clinic and learning, observing, I've put a few things together. Do I have all the answers? No, I don't. But I want to share some of the things I've observed and learned with you, and perhaps make the journey a little bit easier for you in your relationships. So starting with talking about heterosexual relationships, where the woman will often come in to see me and say, you know, my husband or my partner, they just don't understand me. Men don't understand me. What's the problem? I've heard that so many times over the years, and women are very frustrated generally because they feel not understood, and they often feel not special, not important in the man's eyes. There's just common themes I've noticed. Have you? I mean, you might have noticed it too. And then when I get to talk to the guys, they'll say, my partner, my wife, no matter what I do, I just can't please her. I try everything I can to keep her happy, and it's never good enough. She's always needing more. And I'll often say to the guys, look, I'm a guy, I know women can be very complex. And I have come to understand a few things, that the female brain is very different to the male brain. The female brain, everything joins to everything else. So in a woman's world, feelings, thoughts, ideas, attitudes, morals, all mixed together. And in a man's world, in our brain, we need to compartmentalise things. So for us, we can talk about our marriage as men, or our relationship, and then we can discuss something completely different. And the two of them don't necessarily link together. Where for a woman, that's just crazy. Like, everything goes to everything. And so sometimes women can find it a bit hard when they're asked a direct question like, what do you want to do about this or that? And they'll go, well, let me think about that. And they have to talk about the kids are not well, or last time we went to this place, or mum and dad said this, or because everything's all enmeshed in that woman's brain. It takes her a little longer. She's got to weave her way through the emotional tracks to come to a decision, where her partner just said, just a yes or a no would work, you know, just do you want to do it or do you not? So that's the male fire component coming out, like life is simple, direct, I know what I want to do, what do you want to do? And the female, the water element going, well, I'll make a decision when I've considered everybody else's point of view. So once again, these elements keep coming into everything I see in life. So it can be very frustrating. So I say to the women, you need to communicate to your man, because he just wants to keep you happy. Because if you're happy, he'll be happy. Life's simple for most guys. They don't want complexity. So if a woman can be clear about what she feels and what she wants, and she can convey that, not only in the little decisions like what are we doing this weekend and what sort of food are we going to prepare tonight or what's going on, but also in intimate situations and even in the bedroom, in the intimate zones, a woman's got to be able to communicate her feelings to her man. He's not a mind reader. He does not know what you're thinking and feeling. You have to convey that to him. And you can do it in a way not to belittle him or put him down, and he'll feel welcomed and he'll want to contribute. That's usually my standard lines to women. And then to the guys I say the opposite. If you want to see your woman be happy, an old joke we say, happy wife, happy life, is if you want to see that, you've got to give her room to go through her emotional weaving and think things through. So sometimes women have got to be really given a thoroughly good listening to at least twice a week. I say that to a lot of guys, because women often feel like when they talk about it, they're processing it, they're working it out. For us, that's just like, dwelling on a problem. We're just getting stuck on a problem, and let's not talk about the problem, let's just come to a conclusion and solution, and when it's fixed then we'll talk about it. But for a woman, talking about it is resolving the problem. And so for us guys, we have to learn to just ask a question, how do you feel about this, or what do you think about that, and give that woman time to weave her way through her neural tracks in her brain and her mind to come to a conclusion. And even if we don't say much, like if a woman says, what do you think about it, it's usually a good idea to get the woman's opinion, and keep it simple and be able to listen. That's what I say to the guys. Ask for feedback from the woman and give her the room to tell you what she thinks and feels. And that makes for a huge difference in relationship. Communication. Communication's the big word there. Another aspect which I've mentioned in a previous video was about the distant and the merger. And we talked about how a distancer, which isn't necessarily either one, so it's not necessarily the man or the woman, or it's not based specifically on the gender. The distancer will always want to need their time and space to be able to reflect and think and feel and get in touch with themselves. They need that because they get overwhelmed by emotional intensity. They'll need that time, and if the merger can realise that, they can say, hey, just take your time, we'll work it out later, I'm not going to put you under pressure now. And the distancer will love that because they're given that space to come to what they really think and feel. Yeah. The merger is going to be the opposite. They're going to look for connection very quickly. And that's their way of feeling like they belong and they fit in and they're part and they're loved and they're given that assurance. So I often see this play itself out in early relationships when they get going and everything's going great, and then these differences start showing up, and what happens is invariably one of the partners will say, I want commitment. Quite often it's the woman, but not always. I want commitment and they want freedom. And the guys will look at me and say, yeah, I need my space. They just get a bit too full on for me. So he's playing the distancer, she's playing the merger. Like I say, it doesn't always go this way, but this is a common pattern. It can flip over. But the thing about it is, for the person who wants the commitment, if they can understand that if they put more pressure on the other person, they're going to chase them away. So if they give that person time and they just be with that person and accept that person the way they are, they're more likely going to get commitment, because that person feels like they're not under pressure to have to get married, put a ring on their finger, get into a contract, get involved in things in life that they don't feel emotionally ready to do. And so it's very common that the person who seeks freedom is saying, I've been compressed, I've been choked in life from previous relationships. I've had situations where I've been pushed into unspoken agreements that I didn't agree with, and I got involved and I regret it. So they're naturally going to say, hey, I need my space, I need my freedom, don't put me under pressure. And if the two of them can talk about this and discuss it and be vulnerable and say, hey, I need my space because I don't feel like I'm being allowed to be me in this relationship, then they're allowed to express how they truly feel, they're more likely going to commit. That's the freedom seeker. Because we all want to be free, don't we? We want to be free to be ourselves. And a part of us also wants to commit. But we want to commit under the terms that work for us. And so if we're trying to force someone to be in a relationship and commitment and agreement, but we're trying to do that out of fear and reassurance, that other person's going to smell that straight away and go, see ya, I'm out of here, So step number one that I've come to understand in myself is we've got to be committed to ourselves. Be very clear about what we really want in our lives. What does our heart truly want? And commit to that. and then be clear in how we communicate that with our would-be partner or long-term relationship. And if we're willing to do that, we can then claim our own freedom as well and say, hey, we don't have to spend every minute of the day together. That's actually not that healthy. That if we give each other room to be who we really are, then we can come back together and share love and share intimacy. And the relationship's going to grow because we're being authentic, we're being real, and we're truly communicating, not just following what everyone else says we have to do. Okay, hope that helps. Common sort of stuff that I come across. Love to share with people about this stuff. And if you've got any tips or things that you'd like to share back with me, that would be great. Leave a comment. See ya.